With XDefiant being a new IP, there are obviously a lot of new systems to get the hang of and a slightly new style of gameplay to learn too, and with that comes the potential for so many different mistakes that all of us can very easily be making. And so today I wanted to run you guys through 5 easy mistakes you should be avoiding in XDefiant. Now the first one is very basic, but this is something that I know I do very often, especially when I'm trying to get a heap of kills, and this is essentially just playing way too fast and aggressive, which even though sometimes that works really well, it can also lead to some really bad games depending on the match, depending on the lobby, and realistically depending on the opponents in your game. Now like I said, sometimes that sort of playstyle, that really aggressive and fast playstyle, does really work, and generally speaking that is how I play games like this or Call of Duty. But something that I've noticed essentially the more that I've played these types of games is that when I am having a bad game, it is almost always because I'm pretty much sending it too hard, and I find that usually when I just slow down, kind of just stop sprinting around, maybe try and use a longer range weapon and stuff like that, that sort of forces me to slow down too. 99% of the time that I do that, that then results in me going from a really terrible game to a really decent game just from that change alone. And after a few games of playing like that, it's almost like you kind of get into your groove, at which point you can sort of transition back to playing a little bit more aggressively rather than just pretty much playing that way all the time. If you're having a bad game, give that a try. I promise you it will definitely work. If you are playing too aggressively, just slow down, use a longer range weapon, play a little bit more tactically, and it will definitely get you back in the groove much more than you probably expect. Now the weapon grind is insanely slow in XDefiant, and so today's video is brought to you by Mitch Cactus, a website where you guys can get weapon levels and attachment unlocks done for you, making the most of your time while you're out at work or at school. They have well over 10,000 verified Trustpilot reviews and are by far the most legitimate way of doing this method. All of their packages are completely safe and legitimate. They don't hack or mod accounts or anything like that, and they have 24/7 customer support and even a 100% money back guarantee. Head over to mitchcactus.com using the link in the description and use code SAMMY for 5% off for a limited time only. Now the next mistake you guys are most likely making, and this is something that I struggle with in literally every single shooter that I've ever played in my entire life, this is seeing 2 enemies or even sometimes 3 enemies and essentially just shooting at all of them, dealing maybe 90 damage to all of them, but getting exactly 0 kills. And that is a mistake you really want to get into the habit of avoiding, even though honestly it is easier said than done sometimes. If you see 2 enemies, it is much better to just shoot the first enemy and ensure that you get the kill, even if that does result in the other guy killing you. I know that sounds so freaking obvious, but I think it is honestly natural instinct sometimes to just try and deal with both at the same time. I think when it comes to shooters, even if you're not the best player, I think we all have somewhat big egos and we all just think, hey, I can deal with both these guys at the same time. Generally, that is not going to work and you're going to get exactly 0 kills, even though you might deal really good damage to both enemies. So focus on getting at least one of those kills, and hell, even sometimes when you do that, you are obviously evening up the playing field a little bit, at which point you can then go on to kill the second guy too. So not only are you ensuring you're going to get 1 kill, but sometimes you may even just get both of those kills by doing this rather than just dealing 90 damage to both and ending back on the respawn screen. Now something else to avoid is to do with escort, and this is essentially to do with the beginning of games. One thing that I see heaps of people doing wrong, and how I was doing this wrong at the start of the game too, is that at the start of a round in escort, when you're defending, a lot of people get way too close to the enemy spawn gates, and it pretty much just results in very easy kills for the enemy team. And if they do that to a lot of your teammates, then that is going to result in them easily getting out of their spawn and progressing their way up the map very easily. Instead, you want to let them come to you. They can obviously shoot out of those gates safely, so you can't deal damage to them, but they can deal damage to you. But the thing is, if they have to move way out of range of those gates, then the advantage is back in your court because you are letting them come to you, and that's going to help a hell of a lot in escort and even in zone control too. Now the next mistake to avoid is actually to do with those linear modes again, and this is that you don't want to make the mistake of wasting double XP tokens on the arena mode, so domination, hotshot, and occupy, unless you maybe just hate the linear modes, then obviously that is still worth doing. But for the most part, if you use a double XP token, and I'm mostly talking about the weapon ones anyway, it is definitely better to equip them and then jump into those linear modes in escort and zone control. Now the reason for this is essentially 2 small reasons. One, the games obviously last longer, and so if you equip a 20-minute token, sometimes you'll be in one of those games for close to 20 minutes, which means you are spending pretty much no time in the menus. Whereas if you're playing the arena modes, sometimes you'll have a really quick game and you might finish in say 6 minutes. You then have to spend time on the end of round screen and stuff like that. You've then got to get back into the lobby. It's got to search for a new game and put you into a new one. You've got to choose your faction and your class and then wait for the game to load again. And by that point, you may have wasted 3 to 4 minutes of that 20-minute token. And then again, if you finish that game within another 6 minutes or so, you are then going to waste another 3 to 4 minutes just getting into the next game. In total, that could be close to 8 minutes of the 20 minutes that are enabled with that double XP token, and therefore you're pretty much losing half of the token. So essentially the fact that the linear modes are longer, that is going to help in the first place. But on top of that too, I do find it is actually just easier to get into a groove in those modes as well, because again, the game is longer, so you are spending more time playing, you're spending more time with the same opponent, so you start learning how those enemies are playing and you can kind of deal with that a little bit easier. And I just find, at least for myself, that I do get into a groove in those modes much easier than I do in games like Domination, for example. So keep that in mind. Like I said, if you don't like those modes, then it is still absolutely worth using double XP tokens on the other modes. But if you are trying to really maximize your grind, I would definitely recommend only using those tokens when you are playing the linear modes. Now, last but not least, we have a mistake that is very easy to make, and this is actually to do with Twitch drops. Now, I'm sure most of you guys probably know what Twitch drops are, but I actually know a few people who I told this to who didn't even know what Twitch drops were, so I'm going to quickly explain it and then get into why you can be making a mistake by not doing this. Twitch drops are essentially just being able to watch a Twitch stream, which will then reward you with in-game items. With XDefiant, it will reward you with 2 weapon skins, which some of them are actually pretty awesome. But on top of that, you are going to get a double weapon XP token as well, and you can get one of these every single week, literally for just watching Twitch streams of XDefiant. All you need to do is just make a Twitch account, or just log into your account if you already have one, and make sure it is linked to your Ubisoft account. It's very easy to do. You pretty much get it thrown in your face if you watch any of the bigger streamers streaming XDefiant. Once they're linked, all you need to do is then just watch XDefiant streams from any of the bigger channels. It will notify you if they are Twitch drop enabled, and from there, literally just watching streams will earn you rewards that unlock instantly on your account. The good part about this is that you don't have to sit there with your eyes glued to the stream for 90 minutes to unlock all 3 of those Twitch drops every single week. You can put it up on your phone and go and do something else. Even playing XDefiant, you can put it on a different tab on your computer, for example. Hell, you can load it up on your phone and just go have a nap. You do not have to actually watch the stream, but as long as it's open, Twitch will register that as you watching. And like I said, you get some pretty awesome rewards that are, as far as I know, only unlockable via these Twitch drops. So like I said, I'm sure most of you probably knew about that already, but for those who didn't, do not miss out on that. They are doing this each and every week in the preseason, and I'm sure they'll probably do it throughout season 1 and beyond too. So do not make the mistake of missing out on probably the easiest content you'll ever unlock in XDefiant. But anyway, those are 5 easy mistakes you guys should be avoiding in XDefiant, guys. Hopefully that helps you out, and if it did and you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more content like this. There is so much more content on the way, so make sure you don't miss out. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you all out there in the arena.